Hello Nosies, welcome to another episode of TNN. I'm your host, Mr. Nosy, and have you guys ever heard of Afrodance Fitness exercise? It's a dance and exercise all rolled into one. Okay, so today we're going to sit down with a professional Afrodance Fitness instructor, Jeevi, and she will guide us through what Afrodance is all about. So stay tuned and let's go find out. Hi Jeevi.
How are you?
Good, how about yourself?
I'm good. I'm ready for this.
Alright, let's start.
The Nosy Network.
Hello Jeevi and welcome to the Nosy Network. Let's start by asking the fundamental question. What is Afrodance? Where does it originate from?
So basically, Afrodance it basically originates from Africa, the continent of Africa, and focuses mainly on sub-Saharan Africa. So basically West Africa, East Africa, Southern Africa, and Central Africa. The music, the moves are all from sub-Saharan Africa. So when people think about belly dancing, that's not part of Afrodance, that's from North Africa. But basically what we do with Afrodance Fitness, it's the concept is similar to Zumba, where we're doing multiple songs in an hour, and it's repetitive movements, easy to follow movements, but the focus is on African movements from sub-Saharan Africa, and the beats, the styles are all from sub-Saharan Africa basically.
How did you discover Afrodance and that aha moment that made you decide to go with this rather than other types of dance, which I presume that you have tried before?
I hope you have time because this is a long story. No, but basically I started off my dance fitness journey with Zumba, which is more from Latin America. And with Afrodance, to be honest, I actually discovered, or maybe I would say exposed to the African community when I went to Cairns, Australia. So that's where, basically I got exposed to an African community that I was not exposed to here, and that's when they introduced me to the music, and when we went out, I would see them dancing and everything, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? It was almost like this is an amazing culture, and it was something that I was never really exposed to before. And then after I did my semester in Australia, I came back to Singapore, and then there so happened to be a license that was happening in Singapore, like instructor license training by this guy from Senegal. So he was conducting a license, and a friend of mine sent it to me, and she was like, why don't you take up the instructor training? And so I was like, okay, why not, right? Since I was already trained in Zumba, I was like, okay, let me try this. And because I love the music, I love the whole energy of it. So I took my license, I think that was probably 10 years ago. And I guess that was the beginning of my journey in Afrodance Fitness, basically. And then I went on to continue teaching Zumba, and then including some African dance fitness into my Zumba classes. And then 2020, when COVID hit, that's when one of my friends told me, instructor friends told me to actually go into African dance a bit more. Everything was closed down, right? So everything was online, and a lot of what you saw online was Bollywood and Zumba and K-pop and things like that. So when I decided to go into Afrodance fully in 2020, when my instructor friend told me to, hey, why don't you bring something new into the dance fitness world? And I was like, okay. I was still not as ready, but it's a big responsibility, right? Trying to represent another culture and things like that. So I slowly went into it in 2020, and then decided hey, okay, this actually brings me joy. I really have fun doing it in a way that it's not that Zumba didn't bring me joy, but it was more of this is different. There's something that I feel on a, if I may say so, soul basis, where I'm like, okay, this is a different energy that I wanted to to go into, and that's when it really took off. Yeah.
So, Jeevi, you mentioned that you have been an Afrodance instructor for 10 years now, right? So far, has there been any hurdles during this journey?
Yes, so many. Where do I start? I mean, I think why it also means so much to me is because I have gone through so many of the challenges that it has been a whole journey, right? Because I think when I first started, yes, I started with this Afrodance Fitness license that was done by a guy from Senegal who came down to Singapore. But then when I wanted to go full on into it, unfortunately we had to part ways, and we couldn't continue with, basically I couldn't continue with that license, and I had to then figure out how am I supposed to, it was like, that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to go full on, and then I have no one to train me, and so that's when I was like, okay, since I've already decided that I'm going down this road, I decided to self-teach, and that's when I found out about this platform called African Dance Dictionary, where they go full on into like explaining the moves and the history of the moves and everything, and I was like, perfect, right? Like that was such a good resource to have at that point of time when I had nobody who was going to be able to guide me through it. So I would say that would come from the dance fitness perspective of challenges. Then of course it was me trying to run a business while having a full-time job. So I'm also a sports psychologist, and I had my full-time job that I was doing. Dance had always been my side hustle ever since I started 12 years ago, actually, when I started with Zumba. So I guess it was balancing work, which was also of course stressful and had challenges of its own, and then also trying to run a business which I had no idea about, right? Because it was not like I was like, okay, I'm going to run a business. It was, no, I'm going to teach African dance fitness. So, you kind of go in with two different, you're going in with a different intention, basically. So it was like, okay, figuring out how to run a business about something that I was passionate about, but also did not have any guidance in. So, it was kind of like, okay, I'm learning everything on my own from scratch. And I mean, yeah, I kind of feel like I had to create my own path, right? And of course, now when I look back, it was, I'm proud of the whole journey. But yeah, of course, when at that point of time, it was like, yeah, you just kind of feel like you're figuring out everything on your own and just taking it one step at a time. And I guess that's also why that became my tagline, right? Like, the three pillars of the brand was dance, connect, and push boundaries. Because in every sense, that was what my journey was. It was, yeah, the joy that came from the dance. It was connection, because connecting with people, connecting with myself, connecting to the music and the culture, and then pushing boundaries because I was doing something that not many people have done, and I was creating my own path with it. So it was really like doing it one step at a time. And yeah, and then after that, it was, that eventually led me to go to Africa because I was like, okay, I've been teaching African dance, but I had never actually been to the continent. And then that's when my journey, I would say a new chapter of, my African dance journey started, where I then connected with instructors there and then continued my training, which then eventually led me to training my instructors. So yeah, it's been a journey, to say the least.
Quite stressful from the start, huh?
It has been, yeah.
Especially during COVID.
Yeah.
So let's get into Afrodance itself. Firstly, for the uninitiated viewers, what are the usual misconceptions about Afrodance?
Okay, so the common misconception, so when people hear that I do Afrodance, the first thing they think is that I do tribal dance, which is not what I do. So basically, Afrodance will be the modern adaptation of these traditional dances, and I'll go into detail of like the different types, but yeah, basically Afrodance, and then more specifically Afrodance Fitness, it's a full body movement, full body workout, which with modern adaptations of course the traditional rhythms and the traditional roots. Yeah.
And then the music?
And so when we look into the music, like I mentioned before, it's from sub-Saharan Africa, right? Afrodance. So we have
Are the music more like modern music, dance music?
So we have things like Afrobeats. That's the most common one that people know when we say Afro dance or Afro music. So the music, the movements are modern adaptations of that. Yeah.
So tell us what Afrodance is actually like.
Okay, so Afrodance, it is full of energy, it is vibrant, it is dynamic, and like I said before, you are really moving your whole body. It involves, from really grounded movements to, I think you might even see like footwork when you see, some of the videos out there to, really high energy movements, and every movement has an intention to it, there's an emotion to it, and you can see it in, facial expressions as well. So I would say, sometimes it can seem a bit intimidating, but what I would say is, to not get intimidated, because it is like it's a full body experience, to be honest. Yeah.
What are the benefits of Afrodance, especially for modern lifestyles? It's not just for exercise, right?
Yeah, so of course with Afrodance Fitness, just the word fitness, of course, the first thing people might think or ask is like, wait, can I burn calories? But to be honest, that's not the focus of what I do in my classes. For sure, you will burn calories. I don't doubt that. But I think for me with Afrodance, it is really about how do people feel when they walk into the class versus walking out. I think when I see people smiling throughout the class, and when they, say that they feel refreshed after the class and energized after the class, or when they say that they look forward to our weekly classes because it's therapy for them, in a way it's like a cheaper version of therapy, but I mean, please go for therapy if you need to go for therapy, but I feel like there's so much more to it than it just being a fitness class or just being a dance class as well. I think there's so many if maybe even non-tangible effects and benefits of the class that people will experience.
In Singapore, we are a very diverse city. How do you see Afrodance fitting into a multicultural fabric?
So the first question that I got asked when I first started Afrodance Fitness, and went into it full on, was like, is there a market for it? And at that point of time, honestly, I didn't know if there was a market for it. I was just like, I will create it. So I think with Singapore's multicultural makeup and the diversity, I feel like there is a fit for it. It might take a bit more time because it's still something new. I think with the rise of Afro music and Afrobeats and Amapiano and things like that, I think people are a bit more exposed to it and a bit more intrigued and interested and curious about it. And so I feel like it's so nice I really enjoy my classes as well, because it's such a diverse group of people. We have really people coming from everywhere and anywhere, right? With just from various job backgrounds, but also various cultural backgrounds. There's a really good mix, especially now. I feel when I first started, maybe not so much, but now there's definitely like a good mix of both locals and foreigners, and even people who are just traveling through Singapore for a few days, they do check out some of our classes, so that's really nice.
Oh, that's nice. So let's talk about your classes. How does a regular class like, and how long is each class? And at the end of the class, what is your observation of your students? Are they tired, drained, or even feeling refreshed?
Okay, so our classes are an hour long, and both, of course, we have both newcomers, beginners, even people who are a bit more experienced come through. It is a mixture of men and women, but I must say there are a lot more women now, and we are hoping that more men come through, because I do see the men who come through actually really enjoy themselves, and at first it might feel like, oh my god, I'm the only man, but actually it's a pretty welcoming community, and we're really open to welcoming anybody and everybody. And I just love that everybody, like I mentioned before, the difference between how they walk into the class and walk out of the class. Even that day when I was talking to one of our participants, she was saying how, like, just like many of them, they come to class after work. So, it's kind of just like leaving everything at the door and just dancing and being free and
basically unwind.
Yeah, just unwinding and, just letting the music and the moves and the beats take over, which is really nice to see. And Also, what I really love is how everybody connects with each other, right? I mean, even during class, when we do certain movements, we try and bring everybody together, whether it's in a circle or whether it's, doing a movement partner-wise. I think all of that little things make a difference. So yeah, that's really what the class is about, and joy, connection, and freedom. Yeah.
Okay, Jeevi, I heard that you're going to Kenya in Africa pretty soon, right? Yeah.
Yes, so I am actually going back to Kenya. I recently moved actually, so I booked a one-way ticket to Kenya last year after traveling there for a bit, and decided that I want to just take this leap of faith and see where it brings me. So since I've moved to Kenya, the business has also evolved, where now I curate Afrodance retreats in Kenya for people to experience the culture there, the dance culture there, connect with communities there, and of course also do safaris, which is of course what people really want to do as well. But yeah, it's just to give people a more balanced view of Africa and Kenya more specifically. And people, especially female solo travelers, often are afraid of, is it safe? Who do I trust? And basically, I do the work on the ground, right, to connect with people and the locals on the ground to curate this experience. And yeah, I feel like that's my something that's been really fueling me and fulfilling me. Don't get me wrong, it's exhausting, but I feel like there's a bigger purpose to it. And yeah, I want people to see more of Africa and Kenya, basically. Yeah.
So how often is the retreat to Africa?
So my first one was this year in March, and the next one is next March 2026. And I'm looking to do 2 to 3 retreats in a year. I'm hoping to expand beyond Kenya. I would love to do one in Ghana, maybe even Tanzania. So for now it's Kenya, but yeah, give me time and I hope it would expand to beyond Kenya. Yeah.
So finally, Jeevi, do you have anything you would like to say to our viewers?
Yes, I do. So I just want to say, if you ever feel like you have 2 left feet, or you feel like dance is not for you, I really encourage you to just take that first step. It doesn't have to be a leap. It just needs to be that first step to come join us. It's a really welcoming community, and it's really to give yourself an experience and a chance to try something different, to feel something different in your body when you listen to the music and to listen to the different rhythms of Africa, basically. And men are also welcomed. So, to all the women out there, bring your male friends, bring your partners, bring your spouses. We're welcoming everybody to just experience Africa through dance. And yeah, I hope to see you there. Bye.
Let's start by asking the fundamental questions. What is Afrodance and where does it originate from?
Okay, so for people who are not too familiar about Afrodance, it's basically an Afrodance and K-pop and things like that. So, oh no.
Yeah.
We're moving to beats, and the music and the moves that we are doing are all modern adaptations to them. Yeah. Oh no, they're coming here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the kids excursion.
The Nosy Network.